Hello, it's Angie from UK Money Wisdom. Today we're going to begin with the truth most politicians don't want you to hear. Pensioners are suffering, not because the NHS is failing, but because the government is choosing to let it fail. We have thousands of trained doctors in the UK today, unemployed, not because they're unnecessary, not because there's no demand, but because the government refuses to fund the jobs that would treat the very people who need care most, our older generation. This is a political choice, and pensioners are paying the price with their health. Let's look at the NHS crisis through a pensioner's eyes, shall we? Because every cut in the NHS hits pensioners first and hardest, with longer waiting lists, cancelled appointments, delayed cancer tests, cataracts untreated, hip replacements postponed, GP shortages that leave older adults waiting weeks for help. These are not statistics. They are real people, mothers, fathers, grandparents, living in pain. And all while thousands of qualified doctors are sitting at home, waiting for jobs the government refuses to fund. The government's excuse for this unacceptable situation for both doctors and the rest of the country, the government uses outdated economic notions of balancing the books. And we hear Rachel Reeves and the OBR keep repeating the same line over and over again: we must balance the books. But here's the truth. When a government cuts spending to balance the books, it destroys the services pensioners rely on. In the case of the NHS, we are seeing fewer doctors, fewer nurses, fewer appointments, less home care, less GP capacity, more delays, more pain, more fear. Because a balanced spreadsheet is meaningless as well as unnecessary when pensioners can't get a GP appointment. Balancing the books might look tidy in Westminster's world, but it looks like suffering in the real world. Here's the reality that the government is currently creating for the NHS. Doctors exist, but the jobs don't. Right now in the UK, trainee doctors are being dismissed. Young doctors are being made redundant. Hospital posts are frozen. GPs can't get jobs. Medical graduates are looking abroad. This is happening while pensioners sit in living rooms across the country thinking, why am I still waiting for treatment? Why can't I get a doctor? Why does no one come? Why does no one care? And the answer is, it's not because doctors don't exist. It's because political choices have removed the jobs they should be doing. This is not a staffing shortage. This is a funding blockage, and we are all coming to understand that in today's economic reality, this isn't necessary. Richard Murphy, Emeritus Professor at Sheffield University and founder and director at Tax Research UK, explains something every British voter needs to understand. When the government issues the currency, it can always afford to use real resources that already exist. Doctors exist, hospitals exist, patients exist, the need exists. The money can be created to employ them because the real resources exist. This is fundamental. But the government refuses to either understand or acknowledge this fact. And without causing inflation, that's how the modern money system works. And the cruel truth is this: By refusing to fund NHS roles, the government is making a choice to let its pensioners suffer, to let most of its people suffer. Let's look more at why balancing the books damages the entire economy, shall we? Because this is the part politicians never explain. When the government cuts public spending, doctors lose jobs, patients stay sick, pensioners deteriorate, people out there can't work, businesses lose customers, tax revenue falls, the economy weakens. That's right. And austerity shrinks everything, the economy and life expectancy. Balancing the books doesn't strengthen the economy, it starves it. Why won't the government accept this? Why does it allow pensioners to be starved of the services they rely on most? Now let's see how MMT, modern money theory, strengthens the economy and protects pensioners. Modern monetary theory says something simple. If the workers exist and the need exists, the government can create the money to hire them safely. Why? Because doctors pay tax, patients get better, productivity rises, unemployment falls, demand grows, tax receipts increase naturally, public services improve. MMT doesn't print money, it uses the money system to match money with real resources. And inflation doesn't rise when unused doctors are employed. Inflation falls because capacity increases. This is the economic truth. MMT strengthens the economy by strengthening people. And right now, the people who need that strength most are pensioners. Let's look at the human cost of political dogma. Let's be honest, this is not an economic decision, as I said. It is a political dogma, a belief that public services must shrink, governments must withdraw, budgets must balance, ordinary people must absorb the pain. And who absorbs the most pain again and again? It's pensioners. Older people who worked their whole lives, paid tax their whole lives, contributed their whole lives, and now stand at the back of a queue that doesn't need to exist. This is not accidental. This is a political strategy. Let's look at the cruel reality. Richard Murphy paints the picture as we see doctors driving Uber, doctors preparing to emigrate, doctors sitting at home crying, wondering how they will pay rent, doctors with £100,000 of student debt being told no work available. Meanwhile, pensioners are left waiting for treatment, waiting for diagnosis, waiting for care, waiting for help that never comes. This is what cruelty looks like, and it is a choice. We could hire every unemployed doctor tomorrow. We could shorten waiting lists. We could protect pensioners and others in the country from needless suffering. We could restore the NHS. We have the doctors. We have the buildings. We have the resources. We have the economic understanding. We have the need. What we don't have is a government willing to care more about people than about unnecessarily balancing a spreadsheet. That's the real scandal. And it's time people knew. Let me know what you think, because this isn't just politics. It's life and death. And right now, it's pensioners who are mainly paying the price. Do share this video if you feel someone else ought to see it. And please subscribe if you'd like to receive my variety of videos on pensioners' finance mainly, but also other topics. And I'll be back soon. This is Angie, and this is UK Money Wisdom. Bye for now.